Welcome back to Wes Explains Best. Today we're doing a Kuta software worksheet tutorial on the most hated topic in algebra, which is the quadratic formula. Students don't like it. Teachers don't like it. But here we are. We're trying to learn it. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the basics of the quadratic formula are this. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Everything is in this form. So the first thing you got to make sure is you got to make sure that this guy, this monstrosity, this pain in the rear is equal to 0. Okay, that's step number 1. Make sure it's equal to 0. I'll write it even down. Look, we're professional here. Step 1. Hold on, let me underline it. Let's be professional. So set equal to 0. Step 2. Determine variables. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, as we see here, the a goes in front of the x squared. That's going to be this guy. Well, hold on. Let me change the colors here. So let's change this guy to light blue. Let's change this guy. Any suggestions? Purple? All right, sounds good. Purple. And then lastly, let's change this guy. What do you guys want? You said orange? All right, orange sounds good. So we got orange. Now, we need to have in A, we need to find our B. What did I say, purple? No, I didn't say purple. You said purple. And we need to find our C. Now, look here at our equation. We have m squared minus 5m minus 14. I know it's not x, but it's the same thing. It's a variable. So our A is the number in front of m. You're saying there is no number in front of m. There sure is. There is an implied 1 there. 1 times m squared is m squared, so a equals 1. That's good news. We like small numbers. Now we have b. b is the number in front of the variable to the first degree. So this is technically x to the first power. So this is technically m to the first power. So what's the number in front? It's negative 5. Don't just put 5. Put negative 5. Okay? Very important. And then also c, put negative 14. Now, we are going to plug this into the world's favorite formula, which is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so then we have that's going to be equal to our x, but in this case it's m, so I guess we should change it to m. This is just a matter of plugging in stuff now. Okay, so our b is negative 5, and it's very important you get this correct because we're going to put negative 5 in parentheses. Why? Well, because we need to apply that negative sign out in front of it still. It's not b. b is negative 5. We would put negative 5 if that was b, but it's not asking for b, it's asking for negative b. So the opposite of that. So we need to include that negative sign out in front. Plus or minus, that means we could have 2 answers. The only time we're going to have one answer is if underneath this radical it is 0. And that's not the case. I guarantee it. Well, I don't guarantee it. That's a pretty bold statement. Okay, so then we have b squared. Now we're going to have to put negative 5, and then we're going to square that. And then we are subtracting 4 times 1 times negative 14. That's in the top, and then we do 2 times, what do we do? 2 times a, which is 1. That makes it easy. Okay. It's all a matter of simplifying. The quadratic formula is 100%, well, it's not 100%. Obviously, you need to figure out a, b, and c, but it's 99% just making sure you follow the correct operations. So here, we're going to get positive 5. A negative 5 is positive 5. Plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared is going to give me 25 minus 4 times, and this is where our calculator is helpful. 4 times 14 is 56, so we have minus, but it's minus a negative 56, so I'm going to change that later. Keep in mind, if we have 2 negative signs, it's going to end up being a positive, and then that's over 2. We simplify again. It's a matter of simplifying, plus or minus square root of 25 plus 56 minus a negative is the same thing as adding, and we get 81 over 2. Well, what does that equal? Well, that's 5 plus or minus 9 over 2. So now we need to do this. We need to say 5 plus 9 over 2, or 5 minus 9 over 2. These are the two answers. 5 plus 9 is 14 over 2 equals 7. That's one answer. Or we have 5 minus 9, that's negative 4 over 2. That equals negative 2. So here are our two answers. We have 7 or negative 2 for number 1. That is how we do this problem. All of these are exactly like that. It's very repetitive. I would never make my students do all of these. That's ridiculous. So let's do one that's pretty difficult on paper. Okay, so let's go ahead and do, I don't know, 15 looks tough, I guess. So what did I say? Step 1. Oh, we didn't even finish Here we go. So step 1 was set equals 0. Step 2, determine variables. Step 3, plug in. And then what was the last thing we did? Come on, go ahead and say it. Don't be shy. We solved. Okay, I hope you said that. So we solved. So step 1, set equals 0. Step 2, determine variable. Step 3, plug in. Step 4, not solved. Solve. Sorry. I know I'm not an English teacher, but still, it's important. Okay, you'll be writing more emails in your life than probably doing math problems in quadratic formula, that's for sure. So the first thing we need to do is we need to have this equal to 0. Well, guess what, folks? This is not 0, and this is not 0, so we need to do something about it. I like moving everything so that the k squared is positive. I don't know, I'm just a little, I guess, picky when it comes to that. So I like moving the k squared to get everything positive with k squared. Now, if I'm moving this guy over, I might as well move everything else on this side. That includes those two, over to this side too. So I'm going to move everything over to the left side, is the long and short of it. So I'm going to move that over. I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I'm going to add 2k to both sides. So I'm adding 6 to both sides, and I'm adding 2k to both sides. All right, so then I get 4k squared minus 25, right? Negative 31 plus 6, negative 25. And then I get 0k. Ooh, how about that? So I get 4k squared minus 25 equals 0. So this is going to be an interesting one. Let's determine our variables. So we have a equals 4. We have b equals, look, there's no b. What do? We write 0. If 0 times x gives us 0, then it wouldn't even show up. That's the whole point. If this b equals 0, then it doesn't show up. Now, what if a equals 0? What do we do then? Then it's a linear equation, and we don't even need to worry about using the quadratic formula. So this is basically for any time a is not equal to, 0. But that's the case here. A is not equal to 0, so we can proceed. C equals negative 25. Let me just double check that. Plus 6. Okay, it's a big number, but we can work with it. All right, so now we're going to do negative, different color. Not loving it. Negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4. Look how sharp that line is. That looks great. 4ac all over 2a. Plug in our known values. Well, what do we know? We know b is 0, so we have negative 0 plus or minus the square root of 0 squared. Look at that line again. Oh my goodness. That is quite the square root. If you want to take a screenshot of this square root, I would not blame you. So you have 0 squared minus 4 times 4 times negative 25. A lot going on there. 2 times negative 25 in the bottom. Okay, let's simplify. Like I said, a lot of this is just simplifying. So we have 0 plus or minus the square root of, we have negative 4 times negative 25, okay? This is what I said earlier. Anytime we have a negative and negative, it's going to be positive. So we have positive 100, positive 400, all over negative 50. Well, we know the square root of 400 is going to be plus or minus 20. Plus or minus 20 over negative 50. Now, we have two answers here. Don't be scared of this plus or minus here, okay? And the 0 actually makes things a little bit more simple. So we have two answers. We have positive 20 over 50, and we have negative 20 over 50. Always make sure you split this. So then we have 2 over 5, and we have negative 2 over 5. And those are our two answers. Well, I hope this gives you a little bit of courage when you're dealing with this problem. I know it's not super fun. It's not fun for anyone, really. But enjoy it. I hope this helped you at least get some stuff done, and I hope to see you next time on West Explains Best. Take care.